Breaking news right now, the NYPD is zeroing in on the man who they say attacked and sexually assaulted a woman in the Bronx. We thank you for joining us right now at 7 o'clock. I'm Natalie Pasquarella. A big break tonight in the search for that suspect behind a horrifying attack. Hours after that woman recounted what happened to her to News 4's Miles Miller.
Police have identified a suspect in this incident. He is Kassan Parks, a 39-year-old male who is currently being searched for by the Bronx Warren Squad. We know that the victim wanted to come forward because she approached us in the neighborhood and said she wanted to talk about what happened to her to protect other women.
He showed me with a shocking bell because he wanted to demand sex from me and exchange for money, and I said no, and I kept on moving. So he grabbed me from behind with a shocking bell and dragged me to the ground over there by the criers.
The video is hard to watch, so disturbing we froze it as a man puts a belt around a victim's neck and drags her behind a car. He chokes her until she falls unconscious.
He didn't say nothing, he just showed me from behind because I couldn't see him. He just went from behind like this and showed me. I couldn't see him, I couldn't even say nothing.
The attack happened as the woman was walking on 152nd and Cortlandt Avenue in Melrose on May 1st, just after 3 a.m.
Yeah, I was not unconscious for a couple of seconds, like for 20 minutes. Yeah.
And when you woke up, what happened?
What happened, I got up and I talked to some neighbors so they can give me some advice on what to do. So I went to the hospital and got a rib kit, and they gave me some shots and stuff, and then I went to the policeman on the precinct and reported it.
The woman was treated at Lincoln Hospital in the Bronx and released.
I've been worried, I'm scared behind my life because he can pop up anytime and do something to somebody again.
She says people in the neighborhood have seen the suspect before.
It's not the first time he does it to women, it's like the two women he did that to.
And if you know Kassan Parks or know where he is, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers. That number, 800-577-TIPS. Again, he is being searched for tonight by the Warren Squad. That's the latest at the 40 Precinct in Melrose, the Bronx. I'm Miles Miller, News 4 New York.
Police in Oregon also say that a suspect has been arrested after video captured what appears to be a kidnapping. A slight warning to viewers, though, that you might find this video a bit disturbing. It's the home security camera that actually captured this horrifying moment where you see the woman right there attacked at the front door, and then she's whisked away against her will. Fortunately, the victim was found safe, and that suspect is now in custody. But police are noting that this was not a random attack. Let's bring in Melissa Don, who's been tracking it. What else do we know?
Well, Kira, look, so far, the latest information we got from police is essentially this is looking like a domestic dispute. So far, investigators say the suspect and victim knew each other, noting that this was not a random attack. So we're looking into there to see what investigators will find out. They're highlighting that at this point, there is no danger to the public. Police say after they found out who was involved, they were able to arrest the suspect, and that victim was found safe. Of course, all this happening then Sunday, and then this morning, that's when we got those latest updates that suspect is now facing a kidnapping charge. But police say at this point, they're not releasing the names of that suspect or victim. But again, Kira, important there that the victim now is safe.
Yeah, definitely. And so police say that there is no danger to the public right now then?
Correct. They're saying there is no danger to the public. And look, Kira, of course, pretty terrifying event, right? Anyone in that neighborhood, this is in the Hillsborough community, would be pretty alarmed to see something like this happen. So what's interesting here, our ABC affiliate in Portland, you see this video on our screens, they actually spoke with the woman whose doorbell camera captured this scary moment. I mean, imagine if this happened to you and this is what appears on your doorsteps. Well, she says she did not hear the victim's screams outside of her door, but she heard knocking. And then that's when she saw this video. She told us the victim looked and sounded scared, of course, and she could tell really it was a frantic moment, which is what led her immediately to call 911. So, Kira, so important there. Again, that happening Sunday. Immediately, this woman, Marisol, taking action, calling 911 after she saw what played out at her front door. And then that led police there in Oregon to essentially figure out who is this suspect, who is this victim, who was involved. And of course, that now kind of coming to a conclusion that they were found. That suspect now facing those charges. And we'll see later as this story develops with police what the situation was that led up to this scary moment, Kira.
Yeah, looking like possibly a domestic dispute there. We'll track it, Melissa. Thank you.
Brace yourself. for a first exclusive look inside what investigators call a, quote, rape dungeon on wheels. Oh my God. Described as rigged for rape. Condoms, ropes, bungees, children's toys, multiple cell phones and hard drives. And the mattress, worn, stained, disgusting. And I can say in almost a 20-year career, this is the most disturbing scene I've ever been in. Now, all of that evidence has, of course, been processed. Everything that's in here is what's left. Investigators say the man they call a serial rapist would lock women inside this mobile cage, locked in from the outside, behind this metal partition with no escape, except for by their scream that they describe as blood-curdling. Detectives say that scream likely saved a 26-year-old woman's life. 40-year-old Eduardo Sarabia is now locked behind a similar metal cage on suicide watch. He was arraigned on Wednesday, formally charged with 2 felony counts of sexual assault for forcible rape of 2 women this week alone. But based on this setup, detectives believe there are many more yet to come forward. LA County Sheriff's deputies say the man lived inside this 2015 Ford Transit van where he would offer females a ride, say he was camping up in the San Gabriel Mountains, and then take them to a dark, scary, remote location in the Angeles National Forest with no chance of a cell signal. It's up Highway 39 in Azusa Canyon at mile marker 21 in a pitch black dirt turnout. And inside this, quote, rape dungeon, investigators say that's where Sarabia would rape and molest them. Unfortunately, this looks like it's only the beginning of what's to come. So many more potentially victims out there. We know of 2 right now. Of course, if there's any more, definitely you're encouraged to come forward to the Sheriff's Department. And, you know, it's really a miracle that they found this van. 2 deputies patrol that area, 400 square miles of the Angeles National Forest. So they had a very limited description to go off of this van. They spotted it and then happened to stumble upon it when there was a rape in progress, according to...
A rape in progress. So they go in there and save this woman as it was happening.
They heard the blood-curdling scream and went in, and she said, "Save me." He's got a knife up against her neck, and you know, I'm sure the deputies, of course, had no idea, too, like what they were gonna, you know, what was gonna happen to them. So they definitely are heroes.
Well, we can understand why this stuck with you. It's just, there are no words, really.
I mean, you guys know, we've seen it all.
Sure.
We've seen it all. This is, I'm still shaking from it. It was just, to think about what they probably had to go through, and the smell that came out of that van.
Do we know anything about him? Did he have a history?
There's a lot more that we unfortunately can't talk about yet because we don't want to jeopardize the case, of course. But we do know he's from Mexico. He is an illegal immigrant. We don't know yet about his background. But yeah, I think that there will be a lot more to come on this. Just that elaborate setup, though, from the investigators, the sources that I've been talking to over the last 4 days, they definitely think that there's a lot more than just 2 victims out there.
Chicago man facing kidnapping and sexual assault charges. Prosecutors say he offered a 15-year-old girl a ride home, drugged her, and then held her captive for months. 48-year-old Derek Swift is charged with 4 separate felony counts. According to court documents, he picked the victim up on December 6th, then forced her to take pills and kept her in a locked basement apartment. She told investigators she was left alone for 2 or 3 days at a time and assaulted every time Swift returned home. She finally managed to call police for help last week. A judge denied bond and ordered Swift held until his next court appearance.
Yahweh Bashim Yashar Bashim Kakadash, Tabanis to the Apostle Elsewhere, Millstone, Peace, Citation, Hope for Elect, Shalom. And my title's lesson, warning, all you so-called independent women better take heed to this lesson and repent ASAP. So, as you can see in the few videos that I brought out, one was in the Bronx, one was in Oregon. That report about the kidnapping and then even the sexual assaults. And then there was another one that happened in Chicago. And then one where the guy had the great van. I think that was when I think it was like 2 weeks ago or a week ago or so, somewhere around that time. And I think that was out there in California, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, pretty much it shows you right there that the times that we're in, you know, and all this happened within the span of what, like, these reports happened within a month. So that shows you right there that, you know, the times that we're in, like the lady said in the second to last video that I brought out, which is a semi-last, before, you know, me speaking on these, you know, videos, you know, doing a response. What that lady said in the semi-last video, she mentioned about how, you know, this is a beginning of what's, you know, to come. Like with all these reports, you know, happening, you know, like sexual assaults, you know, people being kidnapped. And I find it spiritual that she said that, you know, because as people don't really seem to understand that we really are in the beginning of sorrows, you know, because there's a lot of things that's happening on earth that common sense will tell you the spirit's working with you, that we're in the end times. As people have been saying like a couple years back, that we're living in the last days. And the Lord definitely opened your eyes to the truth. You could see that we are definitely in those last days, and you could feel it too. As soon as you step outside your domain, you know, like your crib or whatever, you feel like that energy out there, that you know that we're in some rough times, and it's only going to get worse. And society seems to be somewhat intact, because of course you got police, you still got 911 that you could call, but very soon that shit gonna be done away with. Now you got guys out there that are just going out in the open, that don't even give a damn anymore, showing their bare face, you know, raping women in broad daylight or in all type of times in the night, seeing that there's a camera out there on the street corners, you know, they don't even care. And some guys, before they do their crime, it's like they just going out there in the open and doing it. They don't think to say, let me conceal my identity with a face mask, you know, take the person to this area where there's no cameras or so. You know, they don't strategically try to work it out to try to make it harder for the detectives to investigate the crime, you know what I mean? It's like they don't even care what tracks they leave behind. That goes to show you the times that we in. Because I remember, let's say a few decades back or so, if crimes was to happen, it would usually be strategically planned out, you know what I mean? And it would usually be harder to track. But now it's like people just doing it like it's nothing. And to that woman that got in the Bronx, that I believe it was a Latina woman that, you know, from another kingdom, that pretty much got like assaulted around the cars or so, where that crazy Jake took her, you know, in between the cars, and he used the belt as a lasso to wrap around her neck like he's some cowboy or some shit. And yeah, I even saw some reports saying that he's from the shelter, and he claimed that he wanted to exchange money with her, you know, for sex, and she refused. And, you know, him being in the shelter, you know, who would think to say that he got money or so? But, you know, we can't, of course, you can't judge, because don't get me wrong, there's some people that work and that's in the shelter, but nonetheless, I mean, like, this is a crazy guy we're talking about, and, you know, for him being in the shelter, I guess he figured that he had really nothing to lose, you know. And before I bring out the precepts to make the lesson edifying, I would like to bring out some evidence that I found regarding some facts about the whole kidnapping. So now it says, how many women go missing in the U.S. each year? It says last year, more than 270,000 women and girls went missing across the country. Studies have shown that when women of color go missing, they're far less likely to receive media attention. And that shows you right there that how insignificant a lot of you Israelite women are to Esau, because of the fact of the matter is that this shows you why brothers pushing out videos, teaching on the street corners, trying to tell you women to repent. We're not saying that for no reason. We're not saying that to sound like a broken record. This is real facts. And the fact of the matter is that you women just want to do what the hell you please. You feel like you want to do as thou wilt. You want to follow after the philosophy of Aleister Crowley, which is a damn devil in it, So go ahead. This is what it gets you. This is how far it gets you. You know how far it's going to get you? It's going to get you trafficked. It's going to get you, kidnapped. And once you get kidnapped, the Lord may put the spirit on that kidnapper to take your ass either to a different state, to a different city, to a different country, maybe whatever. And what they're going to do is they're going to have your ass in forced labor. If they keep you alive, they're going to, of course, sexually assault you, and they're going to also have you going out there and prostituting, And basically what you're going to do is you're going to provide some sort of like service for them, and you're also going to have to service other men, and you're going to also be under the influence of a pimp, basically. That's who you're going to be working under. So that's how far your so-called independent ideology gets you, being a career woman, to think that you don't have to listen to the men in the Lord that's trying to teach you to get a man and settle down. And if you have a man, stay your ass at home and do what you can to keep that man in your life, and take heed, to the message that brothers are trying to teach. And that pretty much was a evidence that I got from pbs.org. And this one over here says 78% of victims who are abducted into situations of trafficking are women. This is slightly higher than the proportion of women in the global data set, which is 71%. And it says victims who identify as transgender/non-conforming and victims whose gender is not recorded are not included in the computations, as there are not enough data for any significant analysis. CTTC partners are working to improve the data availability on this issue. And it says, as for the majority status, it says 25% of the victims who were abducted are children. This is close to the proportion of children in the global data set. And as you can see in the graph, it shows that 75% are considered to be adults that are abducted. And now the age shows that it says about a third of the victims who are abducted are adolescents between 15 and 20 years old. In the global data set, this age category accounts for only 23% of victims, suggesting that late teens might be particularly vulnerable to abduction, at least among victims assisted by CTTC partners. And that was from the ctdatacollaborative.org article. So now, without further ado, I'll bring out some scriptures, and Lord willing, make this lesson edifying. So, as you can already tell, the first scripture that comes to mind is Isaiah 32, verse 9. It says, "Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless woman. For the vintage shall fail, and the gathering shall not come." Yeah, because we come into a time where, all the government benefits, the welfare that you got, that job that you got, that Esau gave you, all that shit's gonna be done away with, and the money is pretty much gonna collapse, and this whole world as you know it is gonna basically go down very soon. And if you women feel to say that you enjoying your life being a whore, You enjoy your life doing whatever the hell you please without having to listen to a righteous man of the Lord trying to teach you. You know, you come across the lessons that are like these, and then you end up trying to, you know, ignore the message. Don't feel to say that you're gonna have an easy time finding a man of the Lord, you know, to try to help you rescue you out your situation. Don't feel say any of the Lord's men have to take you in, because that's up to ultimately the Heavenly Father, you know, but he's gonna also make his men, you know, have the decision as well. But it's of course gonna be due to the grace of the Heavenly Father at the end of the day. Because even though brothers do say majority of the 2/3 are women, you know, they also do mention that majority of the 1/3 are women as well, you know, but they are going to be way more women dying than they are, you know, surviving in the times to come. And of course, like the statistics that I brought out was pretty much, you know, it's not really all that accurate, but it still gives you an estimate of how much kidnappings happen, and to the demographics, like specific, you know, age groups, or maybe even specific genders, or, you know, you get the point. You know, it will show you that how much abductions happen to them or so. But like I said, those are just estimates. So continuing on to verse 11, it says, "Tremble, ye women that are at ease, be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine." Yeah. So the ones that are basically, you know, doing the best they can, trying their best, trying to, you know, battle the flesh, you know, don't get me wrong, like, women like that will pretty much be all right as long as you maintain your integrity, you know, because women like that will be in a better case than women who still are out there playing games. Because I feel like for a lot of 1/3 women, I feel like a lot of them will have to go through tribulations of seeing other 2/3 women being killed, cannibalized, tortured near them. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna have to see all that. You're gonna have to witness a lot of horrors. And I feel like in order for you women to basically have that sense of fear, you know, for the lifestyle that you're living, y'all should really watch the news a lot more. And just to even get more of a fear, try to watch maybe even certain movies that goes in depth of what happens to people that get into that human trafficking thing. You know, what they do to women that get caught up in those things. Because there's a lot of movies out there, and there's a lot of documentaries out there that go in depth of it. And there's still other women out there that's pretty much giving their experience of what they went through. All I'm saying is that if you women are enjoying the lifestyle of being a whore, you know, following after the ways of Esau, don't think to say that you're going to have the best of both worlds, thinking that you're going to basically be delivered from your situation by these Captain Save-A-Hole simps. That's not the case, you know. And sometimes with these police officers, they don't stop every crime that goes on out there. So even if they are aware of certain you know, sex trafficking that's going on, you know, in areas of where prostitution is, where people are getting kidnapped and being forced to work for a pimp, you know, sometimes it takes them a while for them to, you know, crack down on certain things. Because of the fact of the matter is that, you know, the NYPD, or, you know, just other police departments in particular areas in the United States, you know, they fund off, they basically, they get profit from that shit, you know, and they work with the criminals for a certain amount of time before they take them down. And a lot of times it's like, they're not going to be on that type of time and to rescue your woman in the times that we coming into. And a few years ago, they were already talking about defunding the police. And who's the one that calls the police majority of the times is mostly women, you know? So what you gonna do in that time when there's no police? And just to see the other guy, that another Kingdom Israelite, that probably he's a migrant, that has that whole that van that's particularly meant to rape women, and the fact that he will make it soundproof, or he'll do, you know, whatever it takes to try to take women in a secluded area, like that shows you that that's a real spirit created for vengeance, pretty much on all these men basically that conducted those crimes. And they were lucky that, you know, the cops were driving around that area, because, you know, who would think that anybody would drive out there unless they, you know, are pretty much passing there to get somewhere or whatever. And that shows you right there that, you know, as they tell you when you're young, you should never get into a stranger's vehicle, you know. But you see, one thing Esau didn't teach you women at a young age is that you shouldn't be walking without the company of a man. You know what I mean? Everywhere you go, you should be chaperoned by men. And that's how it was in ancient times, you know. But because y'all feel like y'all got the police, you know, you see, that's the arrogance. You think that you're equal to men. And then you let Hollywood gas your head up because you watch this whole Wonder Woman movies, you watch movies that, like Black Widow, you know, you think that you, like you some badass career woman, that you think you some, like you think you something that could take down a, you know, a group of men that's twice your size. You see? And that's what Hollywood got you women thinking. Well, hate to break it to you, but that's fantasy right there. And fantasy and reality are two different things. Hollywood is nothing but illusions and witchcraft. And you women are very delusional. And this is Jeremiah chapter 4 verse 30 says, and when thou art spoiled, what wilt thou do? Though thou clothest thyself with crimson, though thou deckest thee with ornaments of gold, though thou rentest thy face with painting, in vain shalt thou make thyself fair. Thy lovers will despise thee, they will seek thy life. Yeah. And verse 31 says, for I have heard as of a voice of a woman, as of a woman in travail, and the anguish as of her that bringeth forth her first child, the voice of the daughter of Zion that bewaileth herself, that spreadeth her hands, saying, woe is me now, for my soul is weary because of murderers. Yeah. And, you know, you're not only going to have murderers, but it's just going to be a whole bunch of kidnappers. And basically, you know, a lot of these men that are criminals and doing certain type of crimes, they're going to really heavily get into that kidnapping once they see that cops is not going to be responding to, you know, many kidnappings or so, or sexual assaults. Once they see that, it's fair game. It's quiet for you women. Those men are gonna get on you, you know. They're gonna be on go. And, you know, before I end this lesson, I just want to mention about how, you know, I want to bring out this precept. And this is pretty much supposed to be, you know, the job for a lot of you, well, actually for all you women, you know. The same job that our foremothers kept, you know, back in ancient times, you know, because this is part of the laws and commandments that you women are supposed to follow. It says in Titus chapter 2 verse 3, the aged woman likewise, that they may be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husband, that the word of Yahweh be not blasphemed. And like scriptures say that, you know, a wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man. So even if you're not in a relationship with a wicked guy, you know what I mean, a wicked guy just come out of nowhere and snatch your ass up and just do whatever he does to you and, you know, let you go, or if he just takes you and holds you hostage for a certain amount of time until he gets, you know, busted for that and basically get arrested and you get set free, you know, once the police, you know, finds you, whatever the case is, if you're still alive, you know, of course, according to the Lord's will. You know, it was still judgment out the way, because the Lord did say that no one perishes being innocent, and that whatever wickedness you sow, you shall reap the same. And Jacob's trouble is going to be a lot of these lessons, you know, that brother's been teaching. It's going to manifest to where it's going to be like the biggest I told you so. Should have stayed your ass home and, you know, to the best way you can, cover yourself up the best way you can, and do what you have to do to, you know, get a God-fearing man, or if you have a man, doing the best you can to keep him and, you know, just getting right. But since you don't want to do it the easy way, you're going to be, you know, forced to do it the hard way. And I bet you a lot of these men that's out there doing this to, you know, these women that end up, you know, of course, you know, the females that end up being assaulted or kidnapped or pretty much victims, you know, to these men. And I'm pretty sure a lot of these men that are doing this have been screwed over by women. You know, they've been fucked over some way, somehow by women. You know, they've been abused by women. You could highly suggest that they probably don't get laid a lot. You know what I mean? And they eventually get those urges and that lust. And what they're gonna do with that? They're gonna eventually do whatever, you know, the Lord wants them to do on the left-hand side, if he puts that spirit on them to do so. And in this case, he did. One guy that even, you know, they pretty much knew each other, but he ran up to her home, and I'm pretty sure she didn't want to have nothing to do with him anymore. She just got snatched by him. And there was a, you know, white people in that video with the Ring camera. He did not even care that there would be neighbors that will report that. And he just snatched her and brought her in his vehicle and drove off. And another thing too, that what makes a lot of you women also a victim of getting kidnapped and even getting sexually assaulted is the fact that a lot of y'all be going out there dressing like whores and harlots. So the scriptures talk about, you know a harlot by their, you know, attire and pretty much by their appearance, you know. And women are pretty much generally hypersexualized in this country, America. You know, you see it in the film, you see it in Hollywood, you even see it, you know, just walking out in the fucking street. You go into the deli sometimes, you know. You just go into your job. You just see it some way, somehow, you know? And then you got a lot of these thirsty ass simps that be catcalling them, trying to get their number. And even if they, you know, get their number, they probably don't even go as far as being successful in taking them out on a date. And you see, in the times that we coming into, it ain't gonna be that. Men are just gonna not even say a word. They're just gonna snatch you and do whatever they want. And if they even say a word, it's gonna be forcefully words that, you know, command you to, on some Scorpion from Mortal Kombat type of timing, for them to say, get over here. And they gonna snatch your ass up, you know, and tie you up and throw your ass in the back of the trunk, or, you know, in the back of the vehicle, and do whatever they please with you. And this is what being an American whore, this is how far it gets you. And so a lot of women out there that's actually trying to do the right thing, that's actually trying to dress up, you know, trying to, you know, work with their man and doing what they have to do according to the law, statute, commandments in the Bible on how a woman is supposed to be. You know, they should really be highly upset and aggravated every time when they see these 304s out here dressing like this. You know, when they out there dressing like a whore, because that's going to basically make men more not only lustful, but it's going to also get them, you know, to be even more tempted to wanting to actually, you know, do something with you in a forceful way. And my last comment before I close, I want to say this, that, you know, you women that think that you so hard to get, you know, or you 304s, you that are pretty much, you know, Instagram models, celebrities, influencers on social media, whatever your job consists of, very soon you're going to be easy to get in that time. And the Lord is really going to flip them tables. And don't feel say that it's going to be, you know, that's going to be easy for you to get to a man of the Lord. You know, or at least easy for you to get accepted by a man of the Lord. Because it ain't going to be easy. And that's when brothers, the Lord is going to up the status of brothers in the truth, you know, that's sincere in this thing. He's going to pretty much turn them up on a whole nother level. And Lord willing, I'll be a part of that, you know. And at that point, you women are going to basically, you know, be changed, and, you know, forcefully overnight. You're going to have to change those wicked ways. And that's when, of course, Isaiah 4:1 will come in, where it talks about how, you know, you want to be called by a man of the Lord's name so that you could get your reproach taken away. Because you're going to realize that all those stupid requirements that you had in the world, that whole 6 figure, 6 feet tall, men having a certain physique, you know, men having a certain particular appearance, you know, or men having a certain amount of finances or so, for them to basically have your heart, for you to deal with them. You're going to realize all that shit don't even matter. That the only thing that matters is if that man could protect you and provide you food and shelter. And the ones who's going to be able to do that are the ones that the Lord has set up to, you know, on the right hand side, his prophets, you know, whatever prophet he assigned for you to be under and for you to serve. That's who you're going to basically, you know, be loyal to as a wife. And he's going to have other wives, and you're going to have to be, you know, getting down with serving him with other sister wives, whether you like it or not. He's going to do all the picking and choosing on who he gets to sleep with that night and who he assigns certain tasks to take care of the household. Because scriptures say that in 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15, it says, "Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety." So yeah, but that's it on that. I'd like to say, go along your log, Yahweh Hashem, Yasharahla, Kakadash, the bonus to Apostle Elsewhere Millstone, peace, citation, hope for Allah. Shalom.